We are going to mix all of our wet ingredients together and our cinnamon sticks, everything except our raisins and our rum. We don't want those in there quite yet. So we're going to add a cup of orange juice. This back burner's hot, so we're just going to go right back to it. We're going to add 2 cups of water. And we're going to add 2 cups of sugar. Now 2 cups of sugar will actually be what thickens this sauce. Okay? As it starts to boil and breaks down, it will form what's called a simple syrup. Simple syrup is just water and sugar boiled. It's more water than it is sugar, which is what the orange juice does. It increases the amount of liquid. And as this starts to break down and dissolve, it'll start to thicken this sauce. And the longer you boil this, the thicker it will become. If you notice after 5 minutes it's still too thin, just continue cooking it. You don't want to boil it rapidly. We'll cut the heat down so it only simmers. So you slowly evaporate the water out of it. If you boil it too hard, it'll turn to caramel and it'll burn very quickly. We have our water, sugar, and orange juice. Now, cinnamon sticks. Has anybody cooked with cinnamon sticks before? Okay. Do you like them? Do you rather cinnamon? Okay. Cinnamon sticks are an acquired thing. They're very much like regular cinnamon. How much flavor you like from them or how much flavor you want to get out of them depends on how long they stay in here and how long you boil them for. Okay? The nice thing about cinnamon sticks is when it gets to the desired flavor, you can pull them out quickly and they'll stop. These all came from the same batch. So when you look at this and it says 1 to 4, this is why. Because we have one completely different, okay? We're actually gonna take all 3 of these and put them in here. Again, I like cinnamon. We'll try it in a little while and we'll see what happens. If you have a lot of these itty bitty teeny ones, you may wanna throw an extra 1 or 2 in. If you don't like much cinnamon, okay? It's one of those recipes where you have to just kind of look at what you get. Like I said, they all came out of the same can and they're night and day. We'll let that slowly heat up. Once it comes up to a boil, we'll cut the heat down, let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we'll check it and see how thick it gets. With that, we still need to add our raisins to it. Once it comes up to a boil, we'll add those, and then we'll add our rum just to taste. We're gonna use an extract today because, like I said, we're not allowed to use real rum up here. And in the last sauce, you'll see there is something in here called apple brandy. It is completely an optional thing, but I wanted to put it on there so that you would know at home you could use it if you had it. With here, again, I can't use brandy here, so we'll use the apple cider and we'll go slightly heavier with that. Make the same flavor, same texture, same taste, everything like that. It's just an extra additive you can do at home. To check a sauce, to see as it's thickening, a metal spoon works best. If you run your spoon through it and then turn it over, you'll see it start to coat the back of the spoon. The faster it runs off, the thinner it is. As it thickens, it will hold its shape more and you'll actually be able to run your finger through it and see it stay with shape as well as the line through the center. With this one, now that it's simmering, we're going to add our vanilla extract to it. And we can put our raisins, why do I keep calling these things grapes? They were grapes some time ago. Hey Jess, how long does it take to actually turn these into raisins? Where's that smartphone at when you need it? This sauce also, because there is so much sugar to it, it will thicken. It may take time, so we may add cornstarch to that one as well, just to speed this process up a tiny bit. Cornstarch is not a bad thing. Arrowroot is not a bad thing. They'll thicken your sauces wonderfully, and you'll still be able to reheat them, reuse them, reconstitute them, and you won't get the floury flavor of doing something with a roux. Let's see where we're at with this one. Back to your metal spoons. Dip them in, flip them over. It's starting to get to the point where it's almost a simple syrup. Okay? This is not going to be as thick a sauce, but we still may add a little bit of help to it, just so it'll give a little more body. Now with that little bit of cornstarch, that helps thicken this, and the longer it simmers, it will keep going. And I think I have another big pan down here. Again, back to the metal. This will help cool it down much faster. While that finishes up, I can chill that, and as it chills, once this hot liquid hits that cold, chilled pan, it will dramatically cool it down. Now with glass, if you do that, I promise you're gonna have a mess. Because most glass bowls, if you chill them down first and then pour a hot liquid in them, they're gonna explode. I don't care if they're Pyrex, if they're Tefal, if they're Pampered Chef, if they're, it doesn't matter. If you get a pan or a glass bowl that cold and you pour a hot liquid into it, it's gonna explode. We have taken glasses out of the dish machine and put ice in them and they've blown up in our hands. It's just that temperamental. Okay? So I would not recommend that at all. If you have the option to use metal pans, it's a much better alternative. Okay, I think this is actually to a pretty good consistency. My spoon is almost to the point where it's sticking to my plate. Okay, so that's a good thing. Again, we're gonna take this, run it through and flip it over. And as you run your finger down the back of it, it cleaned out the center, but you can still see the sauce on both sides. Okay, that's a good consistency for this. Now, this pan should be cool. Not necessarily cold, but cool. And we're gonna pour this in here. And as we do this, it's gonna thicken pretty quickly. It also helps us get our cinnamon sticks out because now we can find them. When they're boiling in that big pot, it's tough to see.
Can those be reused?
They can, however, they're not gonna have much flavor left.
Projects, I guess.
What I do with them at home, I have a pot that sits on top of my wood burning stove. That's where they go.
Yeah, that would be good.
Because as that pot boils all day and all night, it just helps kind of smell it up a little bit. It's like a potpourri. Now this one, in just that short period of time and being in the freezer, you can see it's not quite the consistency of water liquid. It's slightly thicker. And we'll take that plate and do that same test with that one. See, wet hands, gloves do not go on. And I spent all that time drying them for nothing. You can see it's starting to stick much heavier to the back of that spoon. Like I said, this one won't be as thick, and it's intended to be that way. But if you were to put that over something that you were going to continue to bake, it would be almost molasses-like by the time you were to cook this on a ham. And it will help add that flavor to it. That one will actually run through your product slightly more, and it will absorb up into it more as well. The thinner the liquid, the more doughs and breads and pastries will absorb into it. Yeah. The thicker the liquid, the less it will absorb. This is another one. As you cool it more, it will continue to thicken because that's part of the properties of cornstarch.